The Engero Tales, Tales of the Soul.
The Patchless Warrior.
Content warning. This story contains animated fantasy action and mild fictional violence. Viewer discretion is advised. They called him Chartum, son of a fisherman from the dusty lakeside town of Rukanga. Where he came from, men didn't talk much. They showed their character through grit, hauling nets from dawn to dusk, lifting their families out of hunger one fish at a time. Chartum had learned endurance from the water and patience from silence. But when he joined the army at 20, it wasn't because he wanted to escape the lake. It was because he wanted to protect it. From the first day of basic training, one symbol haunted his dreams. The black and green patch of the Special Forces, that elusive unit whispered about in mess halls, revered like folklore. It wasn't about prestige for him. It wasn't even about danger. That patch meant something deeper. Mastery, transformation, purpose. To Chartum, the patch meant becoming the kind of man who stood between the innocent and the unimaginable. He applied for selection at 23, filled with hunger and naive confidence. He trained months in advance, running up hills with weights in his rucksack, swimming in the cold lake at 4 a.m., whispering mantras to himself like prayers. They bleed, I breathe, I endure. But Hell Week wasn't like anything he'd imagined. By day 4, his body had betrayed him. His vision blurred. He hallucinated wolves in the tree line. When they found him crawling through the mud, half-conscious, dehydrated, calling out his mother's name, they medically disqualified him. He cried, not from weakness, but from shame. He spent the next 2 years building himself back. He returned to his unit more determined than ever, studied combat psychology, pushed himself further, hardened every part of his being. At 25, he applied again. This time, he flew through the early phases: obstacle courses, ruck marches, advanced weapon drills, night navigation, survival in enemy terrain. On the final psychological test, they placed him in a cold, dark room. He hadn't slept in 48 hours. Hidden speakers played the sound of a child crying. That broke him. He covered his ears, whispered, "Please, stop," and curled into himself. Later, an instructor shook his head. "You failed the empathy test," he said. Chartum asked, "Because I cared?" "No," the man replied, "because you cared more than you could control. You hesitated. That can cost lives." Chartum didn't know whether to feel proud or shattered. At 28, stronger, colder, and more focused, he tried a third time. This time, he passed every phase, every test, every shot was on target. But in the final debrief, they marked his file with the words, "Lacks command instinct." The commander explained, "You lead with heart, not with dominance. You're respected, not feared." He wanted to scream, "Isn't that leadership too?" But soldiers don't scream. He saluted and walked out. 3 attempts, 3 failures. And now at 30, his body didn't bounce back like it used to. His knees clicked when he crouched. His breath shortened in the cold. Still, he tried once more, one final shot. He didn't even make it to day 3. A sudden stress fracture in his shin dropped him during a ruck run. The medics carried him out, while rain soaked the earth like it was morning. They handed him a rejection letter that didn't sting as much as it numbed. "You gave more than most ever will," said the commander gently. "But there's no ceremony for those who almost make it." Chartum returned to his unit, just another soldier in a dusty platoon stationed on a sleepy border village. The world had moved on. His dream was over. Then one evening, the radio crackled. Rebel ambush, civilians trapped, shots fired, outpost breached. Chartum didn't wait for orders. He grabbed his weapon, rallied the squad, and moved like instinct. The years of training, not the courses, not the badges, but the failures, rose up in his blood like a second soul. He led his men through smoke and panic, flanked the enemy using terrain from those old selection maps, carried an injured boy on his back, tossed a live grenade clear from the command post, led a last stand behind a fuel truck. By morning, the outpost stood. 6 soldiers wounded, 0 deaths. When the captain arrived, eyes wide with disbelief, he asked, "Who taught you that maneuver?" "No one," Chartum said, wiping mud from his brow. "I just kept trying." They offered him a medal. He refused. That night, while the stars pulsed over the village like silent watchers, a young recruit sat beside him, nervous, hopeful. "Sir," he asked, "how do you stay calm in the chaos?" Chartum smiled, a tired smile, but a full one. "You breathe, you listen, you don't panic, and you lead, even if no one is watching." The boy nodded, soaking in every word, and in that moment, Chartum understood. He would never wear the patch, but he had become what the patch was meant to represent. And that, finally, was enough. As the fire crackled and the stars shimmered above, someone began humming an old tune. One soldiers only sing for the fallen or for those who rise above the call. Chartum didn't sing. He just sat in silence, letting the night carry the story. A story of a man who failed 4 times, yet walked taller than those who never fell. And somewhere, deep in the soul of the barracks, a new legend was born. Not stitched in cloth, but etched in memory. If this tale stirred your spirit, don't let it end here. Subscribe to Engero Tales, share this story with a fellow dreamer, and turn on the bell so you never miss the next legend that waits in the shadows. Your journey through our stories is only just beginning.